The round of 32 starts today. And with that being said, we're going to deep dive each first game and give you our breakdown of who I think will be indicators in each game. And we're going to give you our thoughts, how they perform going into this, and who will be winning. With that being said, March Madness is absolute madness. There, I think, is only 3 accurate brackets still left, and after the Kentucky loss, I don't see how any brackets are left standing. But with that being said, our first game on the Saturday slate of 32 starts with the Dayton Flyers going up against the Arizona Wildcats. Now, Dayton does have a huge outside threat. We've seen that. Toby Breer, who was 3 of 15 with 11 points. And that can make a big difference on the outside for them if the inside paint plays well. Arizona is going to have a deep run, I do believe, this year just because of the athleticism we've seen from Umar Ballo, the senior 7-footer that keeps Arizona's fast-paced gameplay. He also has been averaging a double-double with 13 points, 10 rebounds per game. He does shoot at a 65% from the field. He did his huge damage for the Wildcats in the first round over Long Beach, turning in 11 points and 13 rebounds on 4 blocks. Dayton done extremely well in the first round, but I think with the help of that 7-footer on the inside, and as long as he is averaging his double-double, unless they find a way to combat that, the Arizona Wildcats will make it to the Sweet 16. The next game is Gonzaga versus the Jayhawks, Kansas. So when you look at these two teams and you try to predict who will make it to the Sweet 16, these are two big head teams. They have been there several times in back-to-back years. Kansas and Gonzaga, when you think of the Final Four, Elite Eight, Sweet 16, those are names that you most likely hear being in there, unless there's some crazy aspect. This is one of those. They're playing each other. So, to get to the Sweet 16, it's going to be really tough for Kansas. The simple fact is they're going to be missing McCullough, essential player. And I think if he does not come back this game, I think they could be hurting. And we've seen last round that Kansas essentially only played with 6 players, 5 and 1 off the bench. Sanford, they used a full court press almost the whole game. And with that being done, it almost erased a 20-point deficit that they were down by. So it was very noticeable that Kansas was struggling in the back-to-back gameplay. They were also able to still score. So that was the one thing that I say is positive about them being down a player who was a playmaker for them. They're still able to get points on the board. It's just on the defensive aspect they're really hurting. So with Gonzaga, who plays fast, fly-around basketball, it's going to be very difficult for them to stop them. Yes, the Jayhawks do have a strong defense, but with that one key role player out who guards the outside, and being Nolan Hickman being a 41% at the 3 line, I would have to truly go with Gonzaga to beat the Jayhawks to go to the Sweet 16. Now with the Michigan State Spartans and the UNC Tar Heels, you got to think of R.J. Davis here, who put on an absolute clinic of a show. 22 points, 4 threes, and you also got to think the rest of the team had 4 players who was in double figures. They'll have to play top offense every time they have the rock. Michigan State's defense is top 10, and we see that because here they are in the round of 32. 44th when you look at the field goal percentage allowed at the rim, forcing teams to shoot away. So I can see this one truly being a defensive battle for Michigan State. If they are able to get the rebounds, if they're able to force Carolina to play more outside than inside, I think that we're truly going to see an upset here, and I'm taking Michigan State, who will rattle the UNC Tar Heels. Washington State versus Iowa State. Washington State has a monster, Isaac Jones. He's a huge player to watch going into this game. For y'all that did not keep up with last game, he had 20 points, 11 rebounds to help them come from a behind win. He will need to, though, help from the backcourt, because not only is he a shooter, but Iowa has a top tier defense when it comes to interior defense on the glass. And that will make a huge impact on how anyone plays a game of basketball against them. And that has a lot to do with discipline inside the paint. Now, Iowa's key player, Taman, did re-injure his arm in the first round. We know it was injured earlier in the season, but it was not that big of an impact in this one. Now, if he's able to stay healthy and be able to play, then we'll see what that does for Iowa. But if Iowa doesn't, I don't know how far they can get on the defensive side without him. But Iowa State's defense is on the strong side of the glass, and the backcourt of the Cougars is very strong. I'm going to see Washington take a win here over Iowa State, and you can call it as it is, upset or not. Washington Cougars around 16. Oakland, who upset Kentucky, is playing the Wolfpack, who's on a 6-game winning streak. So both of these teams are on the best stride that they've had all season, and they are truly what I would call the Cinderella teams of March Madness at the moment. We all know that Oakland had a lights-out performance by Jake Gohickley. He had 10 threes, while all season he had just shot 8 2-point field goal attempts. He averages 12.8 points per game, and every other shot that he takes is outside the three. The man lives on the outside. This dude channeled his inner Klay Thompson, his inner Stephen Curry. This dude was on another level, and no one seen it coming. And that's what really helped them drive past Kentucky. Now, we've seen that happen before. Kentucky has fell out several times in the first round. I think the last time was at St. Peter's. That didn't happen this time. But let's just look at how it is. You had a breakout game, game 1. Okay, you even talked about in the press conference that you don't plan on getting the NBA out of this. A lot of these other players, that's what they're pushing for. He doesn't really push for that at the moment. He's not really looking at it that way. But he stated that there's a ton of NBA talent out there, and I'm here to show that I can still hang with them, even though I'm not going to the NBA. So, keeping up that mindset, if that's how he goes, then yes, we could possibly see a monster on the outside again today. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think NC State will ensure that he has more pressure. I think they'll play more of a zone rather than a man to make sure that that does not happen. But if NC State can silence the Klay Thompson of the March Madness in Oakland, I think the 6-footer who has been putting up double-doubles, Muhammad from NC State, he averaged 17 points on Friday, 12 on Saturday, and then he has put up more in between here and there. He has a strong ability to help win this game for them. And this game is going to be extremely competitive. If they can shut down the outside threat for Oakland, make them play inside, I do believe that State would have a chance, but I think the Golden Grizzlies are going to shock the world and upset NC State tonight. And I hate to say it, but I think Oakland is going to continue to upset teams as we go through this tournament. The Longhorns of Texas versus the Volunteers of Tennessee. Tennessee shoots very well from outside the three. They're 41% from outside. Is absolutely horrible when it comes to defending the triple shot. So that could be something that Tennessee could use to their advantage. Also, better on the inside when it comes to rebounding. Want to look at numbers like that when you build up these teams. Texas allows the 4th most offensive rebounds per game. That's not good. Tennessee could easily take advantage of that. Longhorns were suffocating in the win over Colorado State. Struggled to get any offense going. Did not hit but just one 3-pointer all game. And Tennessee was red hot rolling through the whole game that they had last night. So, in my opinion, if Texas gets red hot again, we could possibly see an upset. But I'm going to go with defense and being able to shoot the ball on an accurate amount here. And just what I've seen overall from the game, I'm taking Tennessee to roll on to the Sweet 16. The questions versus Illinois is going to be a fighting game. Illinois is a monster in the paint. If you want to look at numbers real quick, they're 31 and 2-point shooting, and the Duke's offense struggles to shoot the rock, and they get a ton of block shots. So off the rip, Illinois is a stronger team when it comes to shooting inside the 2. Illinois also uses a size to control the game, and they can do that to get to the Sweet 16. Illinois has Denja off the bench, gets 9 for 9, 18 points, 8 rebounds. That's just looking at the discipline aspect of it. He was off the bench and 8 rebounds. You can only imagine what the main starting 5 does for them. The question has Jacobo, who has 12 points, 6 rebounds, in the upset against BYU. I think this one will be more of a defensive aspect style win, and I will have to say Illinois will take that defensive win in this one. The last game of Saturday's slate for the 32 is the Oregon Ducks going up against the Creighton Blue Jays. Now, the Oregon Ducks have a player in Nathali Dante, who is a dominating force with 23 points and 6 rebounds in the win of South Carolina. He's been doing that all season. He's been extremely dominant. Oregon is, I do believe, the underdog when you look at this game. Just because of positioning, I don't think that should be how they look and adjust this one, on the simple fact that Creighton is I do believe they're like number 4 when we made this video. So, and Oregon's scored higher up on that. I just don't think it's a good game for Creighton. But like I said, Dante is shooting at 61%. He's been doing that all season. Creighton, who has the best rim protection in Ryan Calabriner, who dominates inside as a big man. He's capable of also shooting from the perimeter. So he's a big man who nasty in the paint and can still shoot the rock if he needs to. And that also sets up different avenues for other Blue Jay players, because when your big man goes outside and you know he can shoot the ball, it gives you the ability to set up screens and do fast, flashy top style plays. So this game, to me, is going to come down to controlling the ball. We did see Creighton turn the ball over 14 times against Akron, who was on the road for a comeback in this game, but of course we know how that ended. So if the Oregon Ducks are able to force turnovers, who they are top in the country in that, they're third, and Dante can slow down the extra shots from their big man, I do feel extremely confident that Oregon will walk away with a win in this game simply by making more shots on accurate targets. Oregon will get your last upset of the day. With that being said, March Madness fans, this is the first half of the 32. We will have the other half coming out for you first thing tomorrow. As always, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Until next time, the Kraken's over. Out.